President Obama's decision to go after Arizona over its immigration law cost Democrats votes in the midterms. We continue the conversation with our panel. Deneen, what do you think? He's passed a bunch, he's gotten the Congress to do a bunch of stuff, but you look at the polls and you think, maybe people didn't want that.
Congressional approval is what, 11%? I mean, the will of the people is already speaking, so they're not even voting yet. But Obama's only listening to himself. He's not listening to the American people. Obamacare, there's still a prospect of cap-and-trade legislation. An overwhelming majority of Americans don't want these policies that are taking place.
Michael, with Arizona, it looks to a lot of people, and you look at the polls, 60-70% of the American people like what Arizona is doing. It looks like the president is standing in the way of a state doing what they feel is right to uphold the law while the federal government will not.
I think a lot of people like the moxie of the governor. When the federal government's not doing their job, they're saying that the governor is now doing something in line with what the federal government should be doing. The problem is that no matter what, and no matter how well-intended the governor is, it's still a federal job to do it. And they can't do it.
But the federal government isn't doing it.
But that doesn't give a state the right to take the law into their own hands because they don't have the forensic capacity to investigate documents.
Why isn't the federal government doing it, Michael?
The government is not doing it. The federal government is not doing it for one simple reason, political expediency. And that's the thesis of our get-together today on politics. The truth is that if they talk effectively on immigration, they look weak in their constituents' minds because of the media and because of the 2-minute campaigns that everybody can run on the war on terrorism. And that's a shame. I just came back from Europe. We look like the laughingstock of the world. We are a nation of immigrants, and yet we can't even fix our immigration system.
But Anne-Marie, we are a nation of laws, and there is a law where we should protect our sovereign borders, and the federal government ain't doing it for us.
And it's a real problem because, especially on these border, for these border states, you have a huge problem with violence. You have the kidnappings. You have the they have murders going on, and also the cost. You have all of these illegal immigrants who are using the services of these states, and they just can't afford it. And something has to be done to close the borders, and people realize that. And people even outside the border states realize that. And I think that Obama's going to take a big hit on this.
You're a former federal prosecutor. Do you get actually, Michael's a former federal prosecutor.
Together
in the same office, and today they're prosecuting each other.
No, we're friends.
But Anne-Marie, you look at what she is doing down there, and I say the governor and the legislature down there. Do you get why they're so frustrated? If the federal government's not going to do it, we're going to have to. And now she's suing the government.
Absolutely. And you have about 24 states that are looking to do the same thing. So I think there's no question this will wind up in the Supreme Court because you're going to have some of this. I don't think all the courts are going to agree with what happened in Arizona, and that's only a preliminary decision. It still may wind up going in favor of Arizona and what they've done, and I think it should in the long run.
But it doesn't belong in the courts.
I'm
sorry. It doesn't belong in the courts. This should be in the chambers of Congress, not in the federal courthouse. It should be on the White House.
But Congress has been able to do it for years, and they've chosen not to.
And they have to. But that doesn't mean that we're going to allow the midterm elections and the president and everybody else, I'm a Democrat, to get a pass on this by saying it's in the courts.
All right.
It's the will of the American people. And nationwide, you have people who are sending money to support Arizona's legal fund. So overall, the majority of Americans are in favor with this law.
People are frustrated.
And our federal government is not doing their job.
I wish we had more time. This is a great debate today. Anne-Marie and Michael and Deneen, we thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.